the atmosphere becomes superheated. And so just like this star is coming, it's throwing off these parts of it that come in first. That's what it's talking about here. And then everything begins to get burned up. It begins to scorch the earth. Here's the second trumpet, same event. Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea. And a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Again, this is part of Wormwood. This is part of the asteroid that comes and it strikes the ocean. And when it does, it just devastates the ocean and the sea life in the ocean. Okay, here's the third trumpet. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and a third of the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water because it was bitter. Now you notice that this is affecting a third of the earth. Now, that's a massive amount of geography that this is covering, both in the sea and on the land, and it's making the waters poisoned so that people die when they drink the waters. And now later in Revelation 16, all sea life dies, and all of the waters of the earth are either poisoned or become blood. So the judgment upon the waters is one of the great judgments now. But what you'll notice now in the trumpet judgments, and also or the seal judgments and the trumpet judgments, is it's partial. It's a fourth, it's a third, it's partial. When you get to the bowl judgments later on in the book of Revelation, it's total. Everyone's affected by those judgments. And so this is the fourth trumpet. Then the fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened. A third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. And I looked, and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because the remaining blast of the trumpet of the three angels are about to sound. Let me go back now to the sixth seal and read you what I read you earlier. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. So both in the sixth seal and also here at the fourth trumpet, we're told that the sky grows black. That's exactly what happens when a meteor or an asteroid hits the earth. That magnitude of an asteroid, it throws up all the dust. There's all like Mount St. Helens or something like that. All this dust is thrown up into the atmosphere, and it becomes very dark or black. And so these judgments are describing one event. An asteroid is coming. It begins to superheat the earth, burn up all the green grass, all of that. Then it throws off a part of itself in the ocean. Then it hits the earth, and then the sky grows black. So the judgment of Wormwood is a severe judgment that causes great death, great harm. You can understand the level of panic. Now, Dr. Tom Horn is going to join us here, and he had a personal experience that he's going to talk about, a dream that he experienced that then led him to the truth of Apophis. Now, Apophis is what NASA is calling the asteroid that it's on its way here. And there's some level of disagreement that you'll hear him talk about, that NASA is trying to deny that this is going to hit the earth directly. You can imagine the panic that would cause if everyone knew this was happening. And by the way, we have sent up a spaceship for the purpose of finding asteroids and trying to blow them up for the purpose of them not hitting the earth. And so I personally believe that is in response to Apophis and what NASA is saying right here. So we're going to go right now to this interview by Dr. Tom Horn. NASA has affirmed that there is an asteroid headed toward the earth. They're calling it Apophis. And they're saying it's going to arrive, was it 2029?
Yeah, Friday the 13th, April 2029, and you may have seen in recent weeks where they're reaffirming something they already did say, and I dealt with it in both the Wormwood prophecy as well as the new book, The Messenger, in which they're saying that while Apophis is going to make a very, very close miss of the Earth, they are saying that right now they're calling an all clear, saying that it's not going to impact the planet. Now, this is something that your listeners need to really pay attention to. There are numerous scientists that reacted to their most recent all clear, warning that the trajectory that they have made, their calculation of Apophis, is off by as much as 600,000 miles.
Good.
In fact, a mathematician, Harry Lear, he implies that Apophis is going to crash into Earth in 8 years from now, and he even went so far as to send a letter to the President of the United States, begging him to have the U.S. government scientists cross-check those calculations immediately, because he says that NASA's either playing a game with the trajectory stats, or they are just they're intentionally misleading the public. And then he ends his letter. Anybody can log online and read his letter. He ends that dispatch with this ominous admonition that he thinks we're already out of time anyway. But maybe if we got on it now, and I think behind the scenes they are on it now, I think it's part of the reason Space Force was formed, that they're trying to figure out how they might be able to mitigate this incoming event. But it's not just Lear. Nathan Myhrvold, who was the head of Microsoft, the science department.
Please subscribe to Pastor Jimmy Evans' channel to receive the latest videos.
For Microsoft for many years. He is consistently listed every year in the top 100 scientists in the world. And he recently wrote a peer-reviewed paper that I referred to in the books called An Empirical Examination of WISE, Neo-WISE, Asteroid Analysis and Results, in which he not only refutes a lot of the data from NASA, he charges them outright with deliberately misreporting threats by these near-Earth objects and of behaving extremely deceptively with deliberate scientific misconduct. So in other words, he is saying this wasn't an accident on part. They are going out of their way to intentionally cover up very real, potentially imminent space threats, including Apophis. And then there's a video on YouTube that anybody can watch right now that's got the famous planetary scientist and the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, very popular figure. And he says that on April 13, 2029, I'll quote, this is from the YouTube video, this is a quote, Apophis will come so close to Earth that it will dip below our orbiting communication satellites. It will be the largest, closest thing we have ever observed to come by Earth. The orbit we have for it now is uncertain because these things are hard to measure and hard to get an exact distance for, so we cannot tell you exactly what that trajectory will be. So, and this was the same thing that the astronomer from the Pentagon told me. He said it's absolutely baloney. Well, he used a different word that I won't use. But he said it's absolute baloney. He said you can't say that a stone as big as Apophis, and it's a monster, is going to come literally below the satellites, knock out some of the satellites, below the satellites that are in orbit around this planet, and yet say with any certitude, but no worry, it's not going to strike the planet. He said that's absolute baloney. Watch the movie Greenland, where right up until and so you know that in the beginning, NASA, they're all saying, no worries, it's just going to skim past, no big deal, take pictures, draw cartoon pictures of it. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts heading for cover. And that is what many of these people believe is going to happen with Apophis. Now, why would NASA be covering that up? Well, it's really obvious, because it would create mass panic. And maybe meanwhile, they might come up with some way to mitigate the incoming of that asteroid.
Well, they're sending a spaceship up right now to blast an asteroid.
Please subscribe to Pastor Jimmy Evans' channel to receive the latest videos.